What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a Let's Talk About Cards episode, so let's get into it. Before we begin today's episode, I would kindly ask you to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel, and if you like this content, please let me know down in the comments below. But anyway, here's what we're talking about today. Today we are talking about hype decks. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, what really is a hype deck? And that's kind of a term that some people use, and it's kind of a misconstrued term. People haven't really defined what it is. But basically what it is a popular brand in the card community that really sells out really fast, and that consistently they really sell out really fast. And they're used by all the really great cardists and everything. But I wanted to go over today, are hype decks really worth it? Are they that much better quality than just a normal deck that you might have by some Nox or something like that? So we're going to go through the quality of some of these hype decks and maybe compare them to some not as hype decks and just see where we go from there. Okay, guys, so the first hype deck that we are going to be talking about is Fontaine. Okay, so Fontaine was originally started by Zach Mueller on Kickstarter in 2013 with a classic red deck, and has since become one of the most well-renowned playing card companies in history, especially for cardistry. They have a thing called Fontaine Trials every year, which I think is pretty sweet. And let's just see if the cards compare. So obviously the cards are very thin, and they're going to be printed on pretty decent stock. I don't exactly know, but they feel pretty nice. This deck I bought used, but it had only been opened once, and still handles quite well. So not a bad deck at all. I only paid 15 bucks for this new, but I know this deck goes for about 30 bucks or more when they are selling on other sites. So is it worth the 30 bucks? I mean, you have to look at it from a perspective. Are you going to use the cards? If so, maybe, but if you're a collector, I would try and find the lowest price possible, but also you might want to pay a bigger price for a collector. But if you're a budget cardist, like some people are, and you're not really in it for collecting, I would suggest going with something a bit cheaper, maybe a Luca Wady deck, or a Nock deck, or even Orbits. Orbits are much cheaper, and a lot easier to find if you can catch them on the drop, because they do not sell out as fast. But I believe Fontaines normally sell out in under 5 minutes. I've never seen anything to go over 5 minutes, and probably even last much longer than that, or much shorter than that, excuse me. But yeah, overall, it really just depends on your scenario if you want to get these cards or not. I think they're pretty good. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next company that we are going to be talking about is the Touch Cardistry Pulse Playing Card Company, or just known as Touch. So these cards are specifically made for cardistry. I believe these are the V2s. And these guys have since their decks sell out not as fast as Fontaine's, but they definitely do sell out quite quickly. So this deck is specifically made for cardistry, I believe in Taiwan. I don't remember exactly. I reviewed these, I should know this. We're gonna say Taiwan. If I'm not, let me know in the comments down below. But specifically made for cardistry, there's actually only 51 cards, so they fare perfectly. But yeah, I paid 18 bucks for these when they were released on Art of Play's website. Now I believe they are much more expensive if you want sealed ones. So are they worth the money to buy? I would say these, yes. This is one of the best handling decks I've ever used. I believe it's printed on the premium B9 finish by Cardamundi, which is just amazing. It is one of the better decks I've ever used. I've also reviewed these if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, not a terrible deck at all, and I would actually really suggest this over Fontaine's. I think you could probably find these cheaper than some Fontaines. I think they will last longer, and I think overall they are a better brand, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, moving on to the next of the hype decks. Okay, guys, so the next hype deck we're going to be talking about, or decks, is Lotus in Hand. So Lotus in Hand came on the scene a few years ago. I believe somewhere around 2014, 2015-ish. I couldn't find an exact date. They didn't say on their website. But this is the Flux deck in collaboration with Art of Play, which I thought was pretty sweet. So most of their decks do sell out extremely fast. I believe they sell out, if not faster than Fontaine's, as faster, if not faster than Fontaine's. But they have become very popular in the cardistry community, and they've been used by a lot of good cardists today. So I kind of wanted to talk about, are these cards worth it? This is the Flux deck. So this deck did sell out on their website, and I do believe it is sold out on Art of Play. Actually, I'm not sure if they sold it on their website. They might have, but I know it did sell out on Art of Play. So Art of Play, it didn't sell out extremely fast, but all their decks, I'll put some pictures somewhere around the screen of some of the other decks that come out, like with the Ventus and the Echoes. They have sold out and gone up in value a lot, like probably more than Fontaine's. Like, I have sealed Black Echoes. I paid 10 euros for these in a card shop in Europe. If you're one of the OG watchers on my channel, you'll know I had these in a video. Or I showed you everything that I got when I went to Europe. These are worth around 150 bucks on eBay now, sealed, and I paid $12 US. So yeah, that just gives you kind of an example of how the cards are, but are they really worth it? I would say these ones specifically, I think you could probably get just as good as a deck for less money. I do like them because they are printed by USBCC on like a thinner stock, but you can get thinner stock USBCC decks for a lot less. This deck is actually pretty readily available. I've seen it on a lot of retailers, but a lot of the older Lotus and Hand decks are extremely hard to find. So is it worth it for the older ones? Maybe if you're a collector, but I'd say if you're just an everyday cardist trying to find a decent deck to work with, unless you just want to be flashy, I would say go with something a little less expensive. But it is up to you as what you want to do. Okay, guys, so finally the last deck of cards that we're going to take a look at, and the last company is Anyone Worldwide. So Anyone Worldwide came onto the scene way before I was a cardist. They've been around for a while. I don't really remember. They didn't say when they were first founded, but I believe it was probably around the same time Fontaine, maybe a little later. But they have been since just blown up, and really they're used by a lot of really good cardists in the community. But are they worth it? Because they are quite expensive. If you want some of the OG decks like the Houndstooth, they can go for quite a bit. I would say though, these are not as expensive as Fontaine's, in my opinion. These are the Anyone Black Dots, by the way. I got a stellar deal from a buddy of mine who has a card site, unicorncards.com, link in the bio per usual. But yeah, I would say these are actually one of the ones I would pay the money for, just because they're not as expensive as Fontaine's, and like on average, and I do like the stock they use. It's a little thicker. It's good for packet cuts, but if you're into more packet cuts than other things, I would very much suggest this deck. I really like the brand as a whole. Now they do kind of have like the same thing going as Fontaine, where they just like change the color of their decks and people buy it, which I don't understand. But overall, a really nice company, and I would probably suggest these more than Fontaine's, just because they're more readily available that I've seen, and I do believe they're much easier to get. But yeah, that's just my opinion. All right, guys, that pretty much wraps it up for my 5th episode of Let's Talk About Cards. Let me know which deck you liked the most. Was it the Flux deck by Lotus Hand, the Fontaine Carrots V3 by Fontaine Cards? Was it the Anyone Black Dots by Anyone Worldwide? Was it the Touch V2s by Touch Cardistry Cards? Or did you not like any of them, or you might have liked a different deck by the companies? Please let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys all have a great day, and big things coming soon for the channel that I can't wait to share with you, so please stay tuned for that. Anyway, I'm the Wooden Cardist. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.